Welcome back to Driven to Greatness. I am your host, Dorian Purnell, and today we're diving into a topic that I believe is very important that every entrepreneur, every business owner, and every person that's building something from the ground up, this is what they need to hear. Today we're talking about branding, but not in the way that you might think. We're not just talking about logos and color schemes today. We're going deeper, a lot deeper. Today, we're going to talk about how your brand is one of the most powerful tools, you have for attracting the right people into your business. So buckle up because this one is going to hit different. Let's get into it. So first of all, we're going to title this episode, your brand is a filter, not just a logo. Let me ask you something. When you hear the word branding, what comes to mind? A logo? Your website colors? Maybe your Instagram aesthetic? And look, those things matter. They really do. But here's what I want you to understand today. Your brand is also much bigger than any visual element. Your brand is a feeling someone gets when they encounter your business. It's also it's the promise that you make before you say a word. And I can reflect on a situation that happens in my shop a lot of times when my goal is to attract the senses of every client that walks into the shop. So as soon as they open that door, I need them to get a certain aroma of the shop. I need them to get a certain feel of the shop. I need them to see how clean the shop is before they even get into my chair. And when they get into my chair, I already, develop that trust in them because of how they feel when they first walk in. So I know that by the time they're getting into the chair, they know they're going to get a good cut. They know they're going to feel good about themselves. They're going to feel good about the service that's been provided. And they know just by the aesthetics and everything that's around them getting their service, they know it's more than just a haircut. And you also have to realize that it's about what people say when you're not in the room. So consistency matters all the way around. So if you're consistently not being on time, if you're consistently not, putting your clients first, if you're consistently playing the wrong music, if you're doing things in a negative light, then that can develop your brand as well. So you have to figure out how you want your brand to land into the mindset of the client. So basically, like I just said, it's what they say about you when you're not in the room. Because we know when we get around, when the clients get around other people, they're going to talk about you. They're going to talk about the service that you provide. They're going to talk about everything that you've done. And the person they're talking to is going to be able to see the result. So everything that's surrounding that service is what the client is going to be talking about. If you think about some of the biggest brands in the world, such as Nike, you don't just think of a sneaker. You think of pushing past your limits of athletic greatness, of that feeling of just do it, because that is their slogan. When you think of Apple, you think of innovation, you think of simplicity, and being a part of the cutting edge. That's not an accident. That's intentional branding. That's because they want you to feel more than what they're trying to promote without any effort. They want the first thing to come into your mind is those three things: simplicity, the cutting edge of technology, and reliability. The physical aspect of their product could look like trash, but they already have the reputation of being great. So intentional branding is key. Now, here's the part that most people miss. Your brand is also a filter. It is literally designed, whether you know it or not, to attract certain people. And it's also designed to repel others. And when your brand is clear, when your brand is authentic and intentional, the right clients, the ones who value what you do, they'll respect the price. Who align with your mission, those people come to you already sold. So the ones that really respect what you do, they believe in what you do, pricing is not an object to them. Pricing is not really a topic that has to be discussed, or it's not going to try to be negotiated, because they already believe in the brand that you're putting out to them. And they realize that the service that they're going to get, the products that they're going to get, it already stands for something bigger than the actual item that they're getting. If we look at clothing, in my eyes, cotton is cotton. It's what is on the material is what really makes it what it is. Louis Vuitton and Gucci, you're paying for the name. Polo, you're paying for the name. But you could take a Hanes t-shirt, a Hanes sweatshirt, Gildan sweatshirt that don't cost as much. But if you write Essentials brand on it, you can sell it for whatever Essentials are selling their products for, without question, because everybody know what Essentials stands for. They had the right people pushing their product. So the convincing of people that are already believing in your brand is actually easier than what you think. Now, the backside of that is when your brand is unclear, when it's inconsistent, or trying to speak to everyone at once, you end up attracting the wrong clients, dealing with misalignment. So the ones that aren't aligned with you, those are the ones that you're going to attract, because you're trying to speak to everyone in the room. When in reality, if you got a room of 10 people, 2 or 3 may be the ones that you really are going to attract to without really having to convince them of anything, because they believe in what you're already doing. And when you're dealing with misalignment, and then you're wondering why business feels so hard, that's because of everything that you're trying to do to please everybody. And I personally don't try to please everybody. I just tend to attract those that believe in the same morals and principles and ideas and things that I believe in. So everything just falls in place. But after today, we're going to fix that. We're definitely going to fix that. So basically the current marketplace when it comes to branding, and we're going to talk about why brand identity is basically a deciding factor. We're going to talk about emotional connection and how we just talked about consistency breeds credibility. So the world that we're operating in right now, we're living in the most competitive marketplace in human history. Think about that. No matter what industry you're in, whether you're a coach, whether you're a contractor, whether you're in the service industry, whether if you're a restaurant owner, whether if you're a consultant, whether if you're a creative, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people offering the same thing or similar to what you're doing. So the question comes to mind, why would someone choose you? And the answer more often than not comes down to the brand. The answer, it comes down to the brand. And here's why. Consumers today are overwhelmed with options. They're bombarded with advertisements. They all have different ways of trying to convince people. Everyone has choices every single day. And when people are overwhelmed, they don't make decisions based purely on logic. They make decisions based on feelings. They don't make logical decisions. They make decisions based on feelings. They go with the business that resonates with them the most. The one that feels aligned with who they are, what they believe in, as I just stated. And also, when I say what resonates with them, I think that storytelling is a massive part of branding. People don't just buy your product or your service, they buy your story. They buy your values. They buy the identity that comes with being associated with your brand. Think about it. People pay a premium for certain brands not because the product is dramatically better, as I just stated. We're talking about Gucci and Louis and the high-end products. But they don't buy those products because they're better, but it's how the brand makes them feel. The brand makes them feel exclusive. The brand makes them feel top tier. The brand makes them feel above and exclusive because not everyone can or is willing to typically pay for this product or pay for this service. So it pulls on that person's heartstrings to say, you know what? You're unlimited because you're limited because not everyone can get this product. Not everyone can get this service. So it makes that person feel more superior than the masses. And then there's consistency. This is huge when your brand is consistent. The same message, the same tone, the same values across every platform, every interaction, every piece of content. It it at the end of the day, it builds trust. And trust builds credibility. And credibility, that's what converts strangers into loyal, paying clients who send referrals your way. They send more patrons your way because of they now have a bragging point that they can tell, hey, my guy, he really takes care of me when he does XYZ. So he's willing to put that word out there. He's eager to put it out there. And consistency, on the other hand, that creates confusion, and a confused customer never buys. A confused customer never buys. Now, finding your right clientele through branding could be tough. But there are ways to find that right clientele. Now, one thing that I've always lived by was, if there are certain people that I want to service, I got to go to where they are. If I want to service more real estate agents, if I want to service more attorneys, if I want to service more white collar workers, if I want to service those that want to feel elite, those that want to have that private experience, those that value the services that I'm willing to provide without any question, those are the ones that I'm trying to attract. So what I have to do, I got to go find where they are. I have to go to conferences that they host. If I'm looking for real estate agents, I will go to a real estate conference. I'm not a realtor. But what I will do is go and introduce myself as a groomer. I don't like using the word barber in every situation, because wordplay is key. When I was able to attain this shop, instead of me saying I want to open a barber shop, the first thing that I led with was that I provide grooming services, or in one situation, I told them that I was a hair loss specialist. So, which I am, but that's not all that I do. So there's a negative connotation when it comes to barbershops, because a lot of people look at barbershops as hangouts. A lot of them have, some activity that's going on that it's just the culture of the barbershop. That's not me. That's not what I stand for. So in order for me to convince a landlord or owner of a space that I'm trying to rent out, that's when you have to let them know that you do more than just cut hair. Because let's face it, society don't look at barbering as a true profession. They look at it as a hobby. So there are things that we have to do to distinguish ourselves away from the typical barber, the typical, even though that's what we are and we stand on that. But in order to get what we want, we got to use certain language to become, in their eyes, more than that, which then it goes back into your branding. So a way of attracting the right clientele, you have to ask yourself, how does your brand actually help you find that person? So, as I said, it starts with knowing exactly who you're talking to. In the business world, we can call this your client avatar. And I want you to think beyond basic demographics like age and income. You need to go deep. Who is this person? What do they value? What are their goals? And what frustrates them? What keeps them up at night? What transformation are they looking for? Are some of the things that you have to be willing to ask. And when you get a clear picture of who that person is, everything about your brand, your messaging, your content, your visuals, your tone of voice, they should be speaking directly to them. Not to everyone, but directly to them. Here's what happens when you do that. The right people see your brand and they think, this is for me. This person gets it. This is exactly what I've been looking for. They self-select. They come to you already warmed up, already trusting you, already aligned with your values and pricing, which eliminates a lot of discussion. That's the power of intentional branding. Now, on the flip side, and I want you to really hear this, if you're consistently dealing with difficult clients who don't value your work, clients who push back on your prices, clients who drain your energy, that is almost a signal that something in your branding is off. Your brand is not clearly communicating who you serve and what you stand for. So instead of attracting your ideal client, you're attracting anyone and everyone. And that is truly, truly exhausting. Energy is big. I don't allow, I'll service someone one time, but if their energy is off, and if I feel that they don't align with what I'm trying to do, if a client comes in and complains and tell me that they've been to 3 or 4 different barbers within the last 3 or 4 months, then something's off. And they may pay me what I ask, but everything doesn't line up. Your brand should do the heavy lifting for you. It should be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, qualifying and attracting the right people so that by the time someone reaches out to you, they already feel like they know you, they like you, and most importantly, they trust you. So I think that, once we get to that point of realizing who it is that we're trying to service and knowing the different ways that we can approach them without approaching them, I always say you can speak loud without saying nothing. You can always make yourself present without doing a whole lot. So let's get practical. Because I don't just want to inspire you today, I want to give you something that you can actually use. Here are some real action steps you can take right now to sharpen your brand and start attracting better clients. Number 1, audit your brand. Seriously, go look at your website, your social media, your marketing materials right now with fresh eyes. Does it clearly communicate who you are, who you serve, and what makes you different? Does the tone and the message feel consistent across every platform? If a stranger landed on your page, would they immediately understand what you do and who it's for? If their answer is no, that's your starting point. Number 2, study your best clients. Think about the clients or customers that you absolutely love working with. The ones who pay without hesitation, who respect your process, who get results and send referrals. You ask yourself what drew them to you, what made them choose you over someone else. That is your brand working correctly. Take notes, lean into whatever it is that attracted them. Number 3, get specific with your language. One of the biggest branding mistakes I see: vague, generic messaging. Things like I help people reach their full potential, or we provide quality service. That could apply to literally anyone. You got to get specific. Speak to your ideal client, exact situation, their exact pain points, their exact desires. And when someone reads your content and thinks, wait, they're talking about me, that's when you know that your messaging is dialed in. And number 4, don't be afraid to niche down. I know this scares a lot of people. The thought of narrowing your focus feels like you're leaving money out on the table. But here's the truth. The riches are in the niches. The more specific you are about who you serve, the more powerfully you can actually speak to that person. The more you become the go-to expert in that space, and the more premium your brand, that's when your brand becomes more premium. Generalists compete on price. Specialists command it. So, as we wrap it up, I want to leave you with this. Your brand is not an expense. It is not just a design project or a marketing checkbox. Your brand is one of the most important investments you will ever make in your business. Every hour you spend clarifying your message, every dollar you put into showing up consistently, every authentically, and it all compounds, it builds, it increases momentum. Because when your brand is truly aligned with purpose, with your values, with the people you're meant to serve, attracting great clients stops feeling like a grind. It stops feeling like a chase. It starts feeling like a magnet. The right people find you, they trust you before they meet you. They invest in you because your brand already told them exactly why they should. So here's your challenge. Ask yourself honestly, what does my brand say about me when I'm not in the room? Is it saying the right things? Is it attracting the right people? And if not, what's the one thing that you can do this week to change that? You have to offer, you have something special to offer the world. Make sure your brand reflects that. Thank you so much for tuning in to Driven to Greatness. I am Dorian Purnell. If this episode added any value to your life, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a review, subscribe, and like this post. And I'll see you in the next one. Keep pushing, keep building. As they say, always stay driven. Peace.